and welcome to the Roy Rogers Riders Club.
Thrill again to the thundering hooves and cattle stampedes, barroom brawls, and shootouts of classic Western features and TV shows. Annie Oakley, Roy Rogers, Gene Autry, John Wayne, and all their cowboy pals and sidekicks roam the West once more. Heroes never die on ComedyMX Channels. They just ride off into the sunset.
The official newspaper files of the early West record many stories of famous and notorious characters of that period. Among them, Billy the Kid, the terror of the Old West in the 1880s. He was the most feared gunman and outlaw in the pages of history of the old or new frontiers of America.
Well, howdy, gents.
Hello, cowboy. When'd you get on?
Just before daybreak.
Where you been keeping yourself?
Up front.
Care to sit in?
No, thanks. I don't have any beans.
Don't need beans. Money'll do.
Won't have much of that either.
Well, let's just see how much that is.
I'm Matt Clark, railroad detective. I used to throw hobos like this off trains, but the last thing I wanted this trip was trouble. Over 1,000 head of cattle had been stolen from the railroad stock pens 100 miles north of here 8 days ago. There was another detective working the Mesilla country who was to meet me outside of town and pass on any information as to the movement of the stolen herds.
Oh, hello, Matt.
Hello, Frankie.
I was waiting down the road where the boss told me to meet you.
Yeah, I know. I got delayed. The boss tells me you got a line on the stolen herd.
The trail herd came through Mascara Gap day before yesterday. They're hidden not more than 20 miles out of Mesilla.
Are you sure about that?
The gang that brought them down has been visiting the Cantina de Oro the last 2 nights.
Did you know the sheriff?
He left town 2 days ago. He's lucky.
Why?
The head of the gang is Billy the Kid.
Billy the Kid? Wow.
Why is everyone so afraid of Billy? He's just a little runt. Got nice blue eyes and always smiling. Seems to me a big fella like you ought to be able to take him over your knees, spank him, and send him back to Mama.
That's not the way I heard it. Those guns he wears makes him 8 feet tall and tougher than a grizzly. Any more good news?
He's been coming in the cantina openly since the sheriff left town. I got myself a job playing the piano there to keep track of him.
Good. I hope the kid doesn't suspect you because you know how well he likes detectives.
Yeah.
You go ahead. I'll hoof it on into town.
Okay, I'll see you there, Matt.
I figured if I rolled into Mesilla with dust on my heels and sand in my hair, nobody'd take me for a railroad detective, not even Billy the Kid.
Let us first hear the honest ring of silver, stranger.
Treat that with respect, senor. That's the last of a long and noble line. This was the notorious Billy the Kid, born William H. Bonney in the slums of New York City. If the Kid's widowed mother hadn't married a man who fled west to escape the Civil War, the Kid might have become the bully of the Bowery instead of the scourge of the great Southwest.
Bartender.
Si, senor.
Some glasses and some good whiskey.
Night rewards hung over the Kid's head, yet there wasn't a man in the place who dared gamble with a fate like that. They know about that violent temper. They knew as well as I that he'd already pulled the trigger on some 18 victims. And the tally would be 21 before he died. One for every year of his hectic life.
Tell your new piano player I want to buy her a drink.
Si, senor. The Kid would like the pleasure of your company to drink with.
What if I don't care to?
Then you will have to find a pianola someplace else, for this would put me out of business forever. Please, señorita, please. Gracias, señor. Gracias.
You play piano real good.
Thanks.
Reminds me when I was little. My mother used to play the piano. Whenever she could get close enough to one. She was never rich enough to own one.
Why don't you buy her one? You can afford it now, can't you?
Well, I don't know where she is. I left home a long time ago.
Go on. You can't be over 20.
Counting the years don't mean anything. It's what you've seen and done. What I've seen and done makes me older than anybody else in this barroom.
Got to see him in, Billy.
Well, let it wait.
You can't. Old man said to tell you got to move those cattle tonight. Tomorrow will be too late. You got word that Pat Garrett's riding.
You know, buddy, when I'm having a conversation with a lady. You'll excuse us, ma'am?
Well, of course.
How your old man stayed alive so long with you hanging around beats me. Now, say what you gotta say, will you?
I couldn't make out what the young fella had said to the Kid, but I knew that Frankie had heard.
Let's go, man. We're riding. Wait a minute. These things yours, miss?
Yes?
You better put them on. You're riding with us.
Me? Why?
Maybe you heard, maybe you didn't. Just to make sure, you better come along.
You can't make me go.
Keep your hands off of her.
You don't know who I am, do you, mister?
I don't care who you are, Sonny. The lady said you didn't want to go.
Well, it's lucky for you you're not packing a gun. Who is he, miss?
I don't know. It's just some saddle bum that drifted in.
Well, shooting at him won't give him no manners. Take care of him, boys.
Get out of the way, miss.
Go get her on a horse. There's a gold piece. Go get yourself a gun. Because the next time I see you, you're going to have to use it.
Billy the Kid rides into town and rides out, and I'm lying there flat on my face in the street where the horses stood. I guess luck was with me at that. The young fellow that talked with the kid, the little thief that stole my coin, was coming back down the street in a wagon. It suddenly occurred to me that he might be headed for the same place as the kid.
What are you stopping me for? I ain't done nothing.
Don't go getting excited, son. We're just stopping everybody to wish them good morning. What do you got under this canvas here? Morning to you, too, mister. What are you hiding for? Timid?
Just keeping out of the sun.
Talk sense. I'm Pat Garrett, sheriff from over in Lincoln.
Well, I'm sure glad to hear that. I thought at first you were a hold-up artist. I'm Matt Clark, railroad detective. Here's my credentials. I'm after a herd Billy the Kid stole from our railroad.
He's all right. We're looking for the kid, too, for the murder of Sheriff Brady. Kind of like to get him while we still have a few sheriffs left. Care to throw in with us?
I'd be a fool not to. Fact is, I stowed away in this wagon because I figured the boy here knew where Billy was hiding.
Tell us about the kid, Sonny.
I don't know nothing about him.
What's your name?
Mose. Mose Stanton.
Thanks, son. That's all I have to know. His old man is Jake Stanton, a middleman for stolen cattle. It's an odds-on bet we'll find the kid at his ranch now making a deal. What do you say we get in on it? Him! Take the boy back to town. Organize a posse. Get him back out here as fast as possible. We'll keep trailing the kid till you get here. You can take his horse.
Kid wasn't at the Stanton Ranch, but he wasn't far from it either. We caught up with him later that day. There he was, with his gang and old man Stanton's cowhands, down there below us, moving the stolen herd north to meet the Colorado buyers. It was Pat Garrett's show, and he handled it well. He decided the best place and time to strike was here and now. Before we got time to think about it twice, we were all tearing down that slope, headlong into action. Billy's gang were cut down one by one in the stampede. Old man Stanton, who was buying the stolen cattle, was killed in the fight. Spotted the kid heading for the hills.
Come on, Pat!
I was worried about Frankie. I was sure the kid hadn't harmed her, but I wondered where he had taken her. It wasn't too long before I found out.
Posse blew in out of the hills. They're on my trail like a hound dog. Give me some shots. I was going to let you go tonight, Frankie. I can't now. You got to come with us.
Please, Billy, let me stay here. I can't help or hurt you now.
You can. You're our passport to Mexico. For your sake, I hope they don't start shooting.
This is a good spot. Why don't we stay here?
You get myself trapped in a Mexican standoff? I never seen one of those yet that works. Sooner or later, you run out of water, grub, or lead, and you got to make a run for it. You stick if you want to. I make my run now.
I'm with you, kid.
I'll take Frankie in the buckboard. You get your horse.
Get around and back. If we have to, we'll starve him out. Smart little fox, I should have known.
We didn't want to hit Frankie, but trying to plug the kid. We made some noise just to let him know we were on his tail.
nice, Matt, but you can put me down now. I'm all right.
Well, you finally ran me down.
What pleases me most, Billy, is taking you alive. I never thought I would.
Maybe so, Pat. But I'll promise you one thing. You'll never hang me.
On the afternoon of April 28, while one of his guards was in a restaurant across the street, Billy slugged his other guard and took his gun away, then shot him in cold blood. He made his way to the porch of the old building, serving as a temporary jail. Bob Ollinger heard the shots and came running out.
See what good that'll do you now, Bob?
Toward the middle of July, 2 months later, Pat Garrett finally got a clue as to the kid's whereabouts. He rode to Fort Sumner with John Poe, a range detective, and myself as deputy. Toward midnight one evening, we came to the house of Pete Maxwell, a rancher friend of both Garrett's and the kid.
Wait here, Matt. I'll go in and talk to Pete.
Right.
Hey. Hey. Yeah? Yeah?
Who is it?
It's me, Pat Garrett.
Come on in. The door's open. Hiya, Pat.
Fine. I'm looking for the kid. Is he around?
He was. I don't know whether he's still here or not.
Horses outside. Whose are they?
I don't know.
K&S. Who's there?
There on the night of July 14, 1881, lay William H. Bonney, alias Billy the Kid. As he had lived by the gun, so did he die. Well, Pat, now that Billy's dead and gone, what are your plans?
Oh, I've got a nice little ranch north of here. It'll do me just fine to sit on it and work it from now to doomsday. I sure wasted a lot of time trying to cut the kid's trail. Too much time, if you ask me.
I wouldn't say it was wasted, Mr. Garrett. Most of New Mexico must be sleeping easier these nights.
I don't know. I kind of regretted having to do it. I'd rather take him alive. When I saw him that night, it was just a simple case of who shot first. I happened to be the lucky one. Could have been the other way around.
There's our train.
You better whip it up if we're going to flag her down at the junction.
Ah!
The official newspaper files of the early West record many stories of famous and notorious characters of that period. Among them, born in 1848, Belle Starr, horse thief and harborer of criminals, lived hard and fast enough to become known in her day as Queen of the Bandits and to go down in history as America's most notorious woman outlaw. Fort Smith, a small village on the border of the Indian Nations, where gunshots and violent death were commonplace. One of the roughest and toughest towns of the Old West.
Belle?
This don't look much like the savings and loan bank to me, Sam.
What's the bet?
Never mind what's the bet. How much have you lost?
Not too much, Belle.
I gave you $1,500 to put in the bank. How much have you got left? Bum did I marry, throwing away my hard-earned cash on the gambling tables. Money I made myself. Get up! Get on your feet, you lazy Indian. You gonna lay there all day? Rest of you gentlemen, put your money on the table. Shove the money into the hat, you. All of it. Every penny! Get in your horses. Your arm, Mr. Starr. It's time we were leaving.
Look, Belle, I was just trying to...
Don't you know yet how to treat a lady? Open the door! If any of you gentlemen thinks he's got change coming, look me up at Younger's Bend. You're so good at spending my money. Now, let's see if you can help me make some.
Where are we going, Belle?
Up to Dodge City. There are a couple hundred head of horses corralled up there just waiting for shipment. I'll go get in your horse pronto.
Look what I found. He's a pretty good colt, huh? For you.
Good-looking piece of horse flesh. Turn in with the others. Get some money on him. Hey, get him on the move!
I'm Matt Clark, railroad detective. Over 100 head of horses destined for the United States Cavalry and consigned to the railroad had been stolen from shipping points along the right-of-way. I was assigned the task of following the trail of the thieves and bringing them in. This usually began with the questioning of possible witnesses, people to be used later when the outlaws are caught and brought to court.
Yeah, they spooked the herd out of here night before last. Cut out the best of the stock, stampeded the rest.
Did you get a good look at the rustlers?
Too dark. One thing I'm sure of, though, the leader was a woman.
A woman?
Yep. I could hear this female yelling orders. See the feather in her white hat.
I know those weren't your horses, sir. You were just holding them for shipment. But do you think you could identify any of them if you ever saw them again?
Yep. I could some. It was one little blooded colt in particular. A bay with a blazed face and 3 white stocking feet. I got kind of attached to him.
If we caught the thieves, would you be willing to testify against them?
Sure would. Just give me the chance.
Might at that. Go on.
The trail led to the Indian Nations. By the time I reached the Nations, I began to feel that the horse thieves I was after were Belle Starr and her gang. My final stop turned out to be Fort Smith, Arkansas, a hop and a jump from Indian Territory. It had a reputation equal to Dodge, Abilene, or any other cowtown crossroads, with the added distinction of being a fence for stolen livestock and a refuge for whiskey peddlers bootlegging firewater to the Redskins.
Hello, Bill.
The man I wanted to see first was a local sheriff, though it was a meeting I didn't care to make public.
The usual, Pete.
Howdy, Sheriff. I don't suppose you remember me, do you?
No, I don't believe I've... Oh, sure. Why, of course. How have you been? I take it you're here on business, Mr. Clark.
Yeah, that's right. I've trailed a gang of horse thieves all the way from Dodge. I've got good reason to believe it's Belle Starr.
You're not the only one with a good reason. She came in here last week with them horses. Sold them all in one day.
Why didn't you pick her up?
She had bills of sale.
They're forgeries.
No doubt. But proving it is something else. Do you happen to have a description of all them horses and prior bills of sale?
Not only that, I've got a half a dozen witnesses who are willing to appear against her. All we have to do is arrest Belle.
You think that's going to be easy?
Where does Belle live?
Oh, about 15 miles from here, a place called Younger's Bend. I wouldn't go down there alone, though. That is, unless I was tired of living.
How often does she come to town?
Once a week.
I'll stick around here so you can get in touch with me.
I was just fixing to have myself a bite of lunch. Won't you join me?
No, thanks, Sheriff. I got some unfinished business. I'll see you later.
What's the big idea? Who do you think you are?
Right then, it wouldn't have taken much to flatten me, too. Sprawled there on the sidewalk looking up at me was Frankie Adams, another railroad detective who had worked with me in the past.
What are you doing in Fort Smith?
Working as a dressmaker. What are you doing?
That horse thieving case in Dodge. Looks like it might be Belle Starr.
Then you're in luck. I'm working on her, too.
As a dressmaker?
Why not? Belle Starr's just like any other woman, crazy about clothes. You should see the gown we made her.
Does she come in for fittings?
Naturally.
When?
Wait a minute. You can't move in yet. The case is still cold.
Oh, you're way behind. Right now, the case is really hot. When's her next fitting?
2:30, Friday, day after tomorrow.
Good. Make her something in blue denim, the latest thing in prison wear. It's been a real pleasure meeting you, ma'am. May I have the privilege of calling on you in the near future?
In the near future, you best mind your manners and your own business, sir. Good day.
Your arm, please. Sam, the door.
the horses.
It's all right, Mac. Go get her. Mac.
Yeah?
Don't tell the boss about this.
I felt so confident that the sheriff would capture Belle, I sent for the rancher who had witnessed the rustling, hoping he could make a definite identification.
You sent for me, Mr. Clark?
Yeah, that's right.
Is that one of the horse thieves?
Yep.
Are you sure?
Well, it was dark, but
Get out.
take a good look. When I got real close to him, yeah, I'm almost positive.
Of course, if you'd have found the horses, then it'd been a different story.
Just as soon as we find where the horses are hidden, I'll get in touch with you. Thanks again.
Glad to be of help.
Hi, Sheriff. Well, you don't have to tell me. You had her hooked, but she got away.
Oh, it's that thoroughbred she rides, Matt. There's not a horse in the territory can outrun him. What about Sam here? You get any more out of him?
No, he hasn't been very sociable. Maybe he'll change his mind when he finds out he's carrying the entire load for Belle and the rest of the gang.
Lock him up. How about it, Matt? Care for a little drink?
Oh, thanks, Sheriff. I think Sam would like to have some, though.
What? Give a drink to that drunken...
That's the general idea.
Oh. I guess you're right, Matt. Poor old Sam's rode just as hard as the rest of us. How about it, Sam? Care for a little mouthwash?
Sam wouldn't remember because he was too drunk last night, but he had told us who Belle had sold the horses to, that they knew the herd was stolen and had planned to move them up country at once. We were pretty sure because of what had happened, Belle would be coming around to warn them.
Recognize any of those horses down there?
Sure, at least a dozen of them. There's that little bay colt I was telling you about. The one with the blaze on his face. He was a favorite with my whole family.
Here she comes, Matt. Look who's with her.
That's a female bandit, all right. I'd recognize that hat and feather anywhere, day or night.
She'll most likely be heading for that pass across the valley. We'll move around and give her a little reception.
I'll get Sam. You arrest Belle. You've got a horse that can outrun her.
Right.
Did surprise him. In the gun smoke and dust of the running horse herd, Belle and Sam got separated. The sheriff took care of Sam. Belle's trial created a sensation in the territory. She was the first woman in the country ever to be convicted on a charge of horse stealing. She appeared in Hanging Judge Parker's federal court of the Western District of Arkansas at Fort Smith. The trial lasted 4 days, from the 15th to the 19th of February, 1883. It was our rancher's identification of the little colt that really won the case for us. Sam was convicted on one and Belle on 2 charges of horse stealing. Both were sentenced to the federal penitentiary in Detroit. Belle and Sam spent a year behind the gray prison walls and then were released with time off for good behavior. They both headed back to Younger's Bend where they took up the old life where they left off. For Belle was arrested several times, though never convicted. And Sam met a violent end in a pistol duel with an Indian deputy who had once arrested him. Then one day, several years later, while I was sitting in my office at railroad headquarters...
Hello, Matt.
Frankie, it's good to see you.
Nice to see you. What have you been doing?
Oh, same old thing. Sit down.
Thanks.
I'm just closing out the files on the Belle Starr case. No doubt you remember.
Oh, how could I forget? I read some time ago that she was murdered. Did they ever find out who did it?
No, and they probably never will. It's quite a mystery. Seems Belle had ridden halfway to Fort Smith with a friend of hers. Belle decided to turn back at the Canadian River and was coming back to Younger's Bend alone. Here, read it.
wild and daring Belle Starr died as simply as that.
Yep. Shot from her horse by an unknown assassin.
Was there ever any suspect?
A farmer named Watson looked good for a while. He was supposed to have been blackmailed by Belle. The case was thrown out of court for lack of evidence. Some people even think it might have been her own son. A week previous to her death, she whipped the boy because he'd mistreated one of her horses. You know, Frankie, I don't think we'll ever know.